look at yours. And she said, sure. And so she turned around, showed me her ass. Like
this,
she was wearing,
this is some conference you went to that night.
yeah, she was wearing these tight jeans.
Yeah.
She had like the tightest, most delectable ass I've seen. It's just like, oh, I described it in more detail, but I'm a man of holiness. And it's like, it was funny, that conversation. So I said, oh, could you point out some other fine asses in the room? And so she did. I said, oh, that girl over there and that girl over there. And so we were like comparing and contrasting, talking about, and it's like that completely flipped a switch for me. Like, until then, I wasn't particularly interested in her. But when she got like that visceral, it's like, whoa, this is my kind of girl. Like, this is someone who I can talk to in like a completely genuine way. So you've really got to be careful out there when you go to Jewish social events, because you'll have women start talking to you about how they look at women's asses. That's really a Amalek speaking. And
is that?
Yeah, that's how it ties in. So I just couldn't believe how this woman just said one thing and it suddenly completely transformed the way I related to her and my interest level in her. And I just thought it was such a beautiful thing. It was like this one rare moment of honesty in like a social gathering where she like talked topless. And it's like,
she talked tuchus with you.
She talked tuchus with me, and it's like, and it was wonderful because we had something in common. Because I look at women, and she looks at women, and so it was like, it was such a beautiful thing. And I'm still like riding the high from that interaction. And I just wanted to share that with you.
That's very important. Now let me ask you something. Would you be willing to share with her that you check out men's asses?
Well, A, I don't, and B, no.
And because of B, I don't think A is really matters. The answer was answered.
No, women like to look at women, and men like to look at women.
Okay.
Oh, and hey fans, sports fans, welcome to another special edition of Feminine Sensual Empowerment. If there's anyone in the world who's done more to sensually empower women than me, it's Rabbi Rabs. So today we're going to learn how we can love ourselves and how women can lead fuller, deeper, more embracing lives. That was the interview I did on Friday.
Oh, I didn't watch it.
But I
How
just
did it go?
It was cool. I had this beautiful woman
Yeah,
over the hovel talking about sensual empowerment.
I didn't even bother watching any of it. I never eaten the replays. I'm not interested. But I looked and I saw like you put up like all these videos with her, and I looked and I saw her and I go, there we go again. It's like, does anyone ever get invited to do an interview who isn't like some bombshell?
I invited you.
Okay. No, but I'm hot and the ladies like me. But I mean, seriously.
She's Filipina, and I think like Filipino women, they just have this natural grace and eroticism and sensuality, and they really know how to take care of them.
Did she get nervous walking into that room?
I don't know. I don't know. But she did cry at one point in the interview.
Really?
Yeah, she was talking about her painful childhood. So I cried, but she was like tall, she was 5'7", and like Filipina and hot, like slim.
Is she Jewish?
Funny. Well, she's from a long line of Filipina Talmudic rabbis. No, she's not Jewish.
I mean, I didn't watch the interview, so I don't know.
No, she's smoking hot.
Because most of the chicks you have in there are
fun.
Jewish.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
She's so much fun. I was having a tough week last week, and so on Wednesday I said, I need to lighten up my week. And Amy said, she was the host of the Valentine's Day party I went to. Remember when I had to cut Torah talk show, had to rush off to a Valentine's Day party? It was just like a totally rocking party. It was like so much fun, like women sitting on one's lap.
And you were asking me if you could get a heter for touching women that
way. And like they treated me like Father Christmas, and like sat on my lap and asked me, told me what they wanted for Passover or Purim or Christmas or 2011 or love or Valentine's Day. And there were some Jews there and some non-Jews. And on her Facebook interests, she lists cuddles parties. Have you ever hosted a cuddles party?
I'm going to have to go with a no on that.
Cuddles party?
I'm going to have to go with a no on that.
I don't think I have either, but I'm really intrigued, and I've added that to my Facebook interest list too.
You don't even know what it is.
I don't even know what it is, but I want to know. A cuddles party. I mean, that's totally a way to let Amalek in the back door. Like Amalek comes into modern Jewish life through cuddles parties, so you've got to be eternally vigilant and you've got to stay tight. So this week's Parsha?
Want to get to it?
Yeah.
I'll bring up your thing. Yeah, I'll bring up the thing right now.
So this is the last parsha in the book of Exodus, the book of Shemot. It is the parsha of Pekudei, which is Exodus chapter 38 to the end of chapter 40. So all the details about the construction of the Mishkan, like, you take gold here and you take this and you do this. With all those details, it makes it harder to cheat. So,
how so?
Well, you can't say, hey, just give me all your gold. It tells you how much gold you need. So it tells you how much, fancy drapes you need. And, when you go to IKEA, get these bedspreads, but don't just buy the whole store. So it's very specific. So
your thought was the Havamina would be that if it didn't say that, then one would be led to cheating on that?
It would be easier to get away with cheating if the Torah wasn't so specific about the details of building the sanctuary.
So meaning by cheating, you would just go and just get...
There would be inevitably there will be some humans who are corrupt, and they'll try to cheat the system, just like people try to cheat the system now. There are rabbis who put their hands in the till, and there are rabbis who are in, say, kashrut supervision, who do all sorts of shady things. There are there are rabbis who work with kids who diddle the kids. And, so there's always a temptation. If I was working in outreach, let's say I was a Kiruv rabbi, and I was out there, trying to bring in people to the Torah, I'd probably get into a lot of sexual trouble. So human beings are easily corrupted, and by having so many...
It's because you're not married.
Yeah.
Torah says that a teacher should always be married.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're just teaching guys who are adults, I don't think that's going to be a big deal. Right. But if you're teaching kids and stuff because the moms come to pick up, and you start flirting around with the mom, and we don't know what's going on.
I'm Kiruving her in, let me give her a little extra special private attention. She's got some troubles at home. Come for some Torah counseling with Levi, and I get into all sorts of trouble. I just
Next thing you know, she starts rubbing your tummy, and I know how that's
Speaking of that, there's a great... Have you seen the movie Lebanon? It's shot from inside a tank, basically, during the Lebanon War. It's an Israeli film.
Okay.
And the tank commander remembers when he was 11 or 12 years old, he was at school, and he found out that his father had died. And so the teacher said to him, I'm so sorry here. She embraced him. And she was very voluptuous, and he got very excited by how voluptuous she was. And so she drove him home. His father had just died, but the whole time he was fully erect, and so he couldn't go in to the house of mourning and interact with anyone because he had this raging hard on. So he kind of went to his room, and his teacher went with him, and she was wanting him to cry, and he could kind of tell that. So he thought, oh, my father's dead, my father's dead, my father's dead, and he kept saying that until he started crying. And when he cried, she held him as he was crying, and he felt his boner just pushing into her stomach, and then they were kind of rocking back and forth as she was comforting him, and then she kept telling him, let it out, 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 and she's rocking back and forth, and he's they're rocking back and forth, and he's rubbing against her. Finally he lets it all out, and he felt so much better.
So that's what you were afraid of teaching for?
Yeah, I'm afraid of being a teacher because I could totally see...
One minute you're teaching, and
yeah,
the next minute
I had this disaster happen. It's oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And I thought that was just the greatest story. I can totally see that when I was 11 or 12 and some disaster happening. And one of my hot teaching is let it out, let it out. Yeah, so check out the 2009 or 2010 movie Lebanon. And if I ever come into a teaching position, you should notify the shul so that
don't worry,
you're taken away from me.
After tonight, nobody's gonna ever hire you for anything.
And also, if people don't offer me jobs as a grief counselor, it's a lot of people come to me and say, "Oh, Levi, you should work in grief counseling. You should go around to people who are in grief and provide solace." And I'm thinking now, upon reflection, after hearing that story, probably would not be well suited for grief counseling unless it was solely with guys. And it's no temptation for me.
Yeah, I think
I'm very strong
and
that way.
And I think that you would be good in that kind of a capacity or any kind of capacity with all guys, because you seem to be tempered.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't do crazy things like with these women. I also